everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have been gone from YouTube for way too long now. If you guys follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you know the struggles that I have been facing with our new house and our property and just what we're going through. And I kind of just let things fall to the wayside with YouTube. And I apologize for that, guys, but I am back now and I am ready to do new DIY videos for you guys every week, starting with this week. So we're gonna kick off this week with some trash to treasure makeovers. And actually all of this trash is from our property. We've been cleaning up around our house and outside, and we've collected a lot of things and we put it into a pile. And there's a lot of things that I can use and give new life to. So I couldn't fit everything into this one makeover video. So I will be using some more stuff later on for more trash to treasure videos. So I'm gonna stop blabbering on now and let's get to the trash to treasure makeovers. For the first makeover, I'm going to be using this tricycle that I found on our property. It was buried in a wooded section and it's really cute, but as you can see, it's pretty beaten up. Wheels are torn and it's really rusted and it's missing the pedals, but I think we can bring it back to life. Now this was a pretty easy makeover. The first thing I did was wash it really good. I used my power washer to try to get any of rust that was peeling off of it, and then just clean it from the dirt and debris, because I don't know how long it was stuck in those woods. So once it was all cleaned and dried, I went ahead and used a bright yellow paint. It's Summer Squash by Rust-Oleum, and I spray painted the whole bicycle. I wasn't worried about using a primer or anything to cover up the rust because I didn't mind if it showed through a little bit because I wanted this piece to be more rustic and cute for the garden. So once it was all painted, then I used some shellac to protect that paint so it wouldn't start peeling, and I just spray painted the whole piece with that. And it was a really warm day, so all of this dried super quick. Then I filled the basket with some plants and decorated it, and it turned out so cute. Alright, for the next project, I'm going to be using this storm door. It was actually attached to the back of my garage. There's a door that comes out, and this was attached there, and as you can see, it's in pretty bad shape. There's a piece of glass missing, and some of the decorative pieces are missing, and it's rusted. So my mother-in-law had a great idea to turn this into a trellis and have plants vining up it. So I went ahead and I just finished taking off some of the extra pieces that were on the door from where it was hanging, and then I also removed that piece of glass and the handle as well. I did save the piece of glass. I thought I could do a different project with it, but I actually used it back in this door, and you'll see later. And then I went down to take off those broken decorative pieces, and they are just screwed on, but the screws were so rusted that the screwdriver just wasn't getting in there and taking them out. So I used a hammer and I just banged them until they came off, and that actually worked pretty good. So I just did that for all of the broken pieces, and I left the one there at the bottom because it wasn't broken. And then the last thing I did was take this seal off the bottom of the door, which it was really rusty underneath there. And then I used my power washer to power wash it all and take most of the rust off that I could get off with that. Now it was time to paint. I used the Lynn white chalk paint to do this. I should have put a coat of primer on first to cover up the rust because it was hard to do that with the white paint. I had to do a few coats, and I ended up running out of spray paint, so I had to go ahead and brush it on with my chalk paint. But after that was done, I used some shellac to protect the paint. I decided to go ahead and use the handles back on the doors, so I went ahead and spray painted them with some of this black flat enamel spray paint. And like I said, it was a hot day, so I only needed one coat and they dried super quickly. And then I went ahead and reattached them to the door. I just didn't want that big hole there showing through, and I thought it looked cuter to have kind of like a door in the garden, like a secret door that had vines on it, and it made it look like a door. So it looked cuter with the handle attached, in my opinion. Next, I just propped the door up against where I wanted it to be, and I planted a clematis vine and some other vining plants around it, so that way it would vine up onto the door as time goes on. And it did look a little plain at this point, so I was like, I'm not finished yet. So I came back to this piece of glass that came out of the door and I cleaned it up, and I'm gonna make a piece of faux stained glass to put back in the door to give it color all season long. So to do that, I started off with some painter's tape, and I just started taping off the piece of glass with straight lines in a design I liked, and there was no rhyme or reason to that. And then for the stained glass effect, I used the Krylon Sea Glass spray paint, and they do sell Krylon stained glass spray paint. However, I didn't really like the colors that I had to choose from, so that's why I went with the sea glass spray paint. And as you can see here, I just started in the middle of the piece in one of the sections I taped off, and I used some old cardboard to block off the other sections that I didn't want spray painted with that color. And I started off by laying the cardboard down to block off the color, but don't do that. Stand them up, because I did have a little problem with the cardboard sticking to the spray painted piece of glass. So I don't know why I did that. I just wasn't thinking. So anyways, it was fine. It turned out in the end, so no big deal, but I would just recommend placing the cardboard up like I'm doing here, so that way you don't get anything sticking to the cardboard and mess up what you've already painted. I just continued spray painting each section with a different color of paint, and I did do very light coats, so that way, one, it would dry quickly, and two, it would be more of a translucent look that I was going for. And then I would also recommend putting some clear Mod Podge maybe on the other side. I didn't have any on hand, so I didn't do that, but I think maybe that would help protect it against the weather. I don't know. I didn't do it, but I think maybe that would help. So it's just an idea. And then I didn't wait for this to like completely dry. I didn't leave this sitting for hours or anything before I took the tape off. Once I was done spray painting, I immediately took the tape off and I got really crisp lines. Then I placed the glass back onto the upper side of the door, making sure that the painted side was facing out and the unpainted side was facing the bars. And then I screwed everything back in, and I love how it turned out.
Forever, forever. I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
For the last makeover, I am going to use this old well pump that I found on the property. It's in pretty bad shape, I guess. There's a lot of rust on it and a lot of wear and tear. There was also at one point something living inside of it that made a nest. So that was the first thing I needed to tackle, was get this nest out of there. I was really thankful that whatever made the nest was not still there. So the only thing I did find was a bunch of ants living inside of it, and it was pretty packed in there, so it took me a little bit to get all of it out, but I did. And once it was all cleaned out on the inside, I just took the power washer and I power washed all of this and got all of the, again, loose rust and just the dirt and everything that has been packed on for years, since I'm not sure how old this thing is, but it's pretty old. So once that was all dry, I took my flat enamel black spray paint and I gave the whole thing a coat of spray paint. I did also cover this in a coat of shellac to protect the paint. Then I took this pot that was also found on the property. It was actually holding that storm door shut whenever it was windy outside. So I went ahead and took it and spray painted it with a coat of that black spray paint. And now what I'm going to do is take some of that dirt out, and I'm going to place that dirt inside the pump there, between the pump and the stand, I guess. There's like a little space there, so I'm going to place some dirt in there. And then also I'm going to place some dirt inside the pump itself. So my idea is hopefully that I can take these wave petunias and it will look like the wave petunias are spilling out from the pump into the planter. So I bought a basket, a hanging basket of wave petunias because it was cheaper than buying a bunch of individual wave petunias to fill this pot up. But if I would do it again, I would actually buy some individual wave petunias to put inside the pump itself and leave the planter as it is, because it was hard to dig out those wave petunias. But I made it work. So I went ahead and dug out a few of the wave petunias and I placed some on the top section there and then some inside the the pump part itself. And I don't know if this will work out. Hopefully they will continue to grow and thrive and they'll spill out. Follow me on Instagram or Facebook. I'll try to post updates, but I think it turned out pretty cute. Hopefully it lasts.
Forever. I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here